I'm Jeanette Keynes from Jewelry Arts Inc. In this video, I'm going to show you how to bezel set a beautiful round Tanzanite faceted gemstone.
Action. So I just want to show off.
Yeah.
We're finally ready to set. Marianne and I have been working on this Argentium and 22 karat gold piece for, 5 or 6 millennia. And we're finally at the point of setting, which is always like so exciting. She was saying, I had this stone for 3 years. I'm like, 3 years? 3 years is nothing. That's just the hatching period. Like, what do you know what I mean? And stones don't go bad, so it's fine. So basically what we've done so far is we put a little shiny silver at the bottom, really highly polished. We've got our inner bezel in there. I'll actually pull it out so that Alexis can just take a quick look. There it is. You have to make sure your inner bezel is beautiful and level. Generally, we'll make an inner bezel to about 2/3 the height of the outside bezel, because then you always have to vary it a little because each stone is cut a little bit different. This is a gorgeous Tanzanite. I mean, so nice. We had to go and get it sort of a little bit repolished because some unnamed jeweler, which would be nobody that was working on it, took a steel thing and like leveled her stone and got a scratch in it, which is an object lesson along with a plug. Use the Jewelry Arts dowels and don't scratch your stones. But even if you don't use Jewelry Arts dowels, which is insane, but use wood. You know what I'm saying? Yes. Because it's just so easy that the one time you pick up something like that, it's the stone can't take it and you get a scratch and whatever. So it's back to its pristine finish, and I'm sure it will never happen again.
Never kiss steel again.
No, exactly. We like put everything in there and we play with it and looked at it from the side, because what you want when you're doing a bezel setting for a faceted stone is you want the bezel to be just above the girdle of the stone. Now, granted, I usually check it as I'm pushing it down with a dowel, so it's possible that it's a little, bounced up at the moment, but that's what I'm looking for. So now we're at the stage that we're gonna shroud, of course, because all it takes is one slip to mess up our beautiful granulation, and we don't want that. So I'm gonna cover it up with tape, and then we're gonna start setting. Okay, so if you take a look at that, now I've got it completely shrouded, and that is the correct height, which is what you're looking for, which is the bezel is just above the girdle. And generally it's like less than you think would be right. Like people look at it and they're like, no, that can't be right. And I'm like, yes, super minimal. Otherwise, when you set, it tends to just like kind of spread across and you cover up too much of your nice stone. Okay? Now I always stand up when I set because I am vertically challenged.
I'll stand with you.
Yes, let's stand together. I'm sure you've all heard this before, but the bezel roller, you want to put it in the palm of your hand like this, so that your thumb and your finger fit on either side, so you're really nice and comfortable. The force all comes from your shoulder. If you're doing this, stop that. You just hurt your hand. And what I do is I find my place on the top of the bezel and I just lean in a little bit. That's all it is. That leverage is plenty of force to do all the setting that you need to do. So,
And the angle that you use when you
45 degrees. So for example, I'm going to be up here just like this, if you can see that. I'm also going to wrap my left hand over the stone, to hold it in place, but just so you know, it's 45 degrees, because if the angle is low, the stone just ejects, which is not what you want. Okay, so I'm going to put my finger on here and kind of hold it down. I'm going to press in a little bit, and since this is round, it makes no difference where I start. If I have like points or corners, I start there first. With a round, it makes no difference. I'm just going to kind of go north, south, east, west. Okay. And basically, the whole tricky thing about setting a faceted stone is that until it's held, it wiggles around in there because it's sitting in there balanced on that inner bezel, and it's like every time you look at it, it kind of moves around. So you just have to keep checking it from the side to make sure that it hasn't slid off base, you know what I mean, and then you're still setting and things are slanty shanty, which you don't want. So there you go, I check from the side, that looks good. this in a little bit. See what I'm saying? And just remember, you have to check from the side. If you're looking from the top, you are not going to be able to tell if it's tilted or not. And you know, this is just a wood block with some double stick tape, because there's lots of fancier things you can use, but you can set a stone perfectly well, just like this. Low tech, but effective. And you see how I get my seat and I just lean in. That's where all the force is coming from. Okay, so I'm gonna give it back to you. I'm gonna have you work on it a bit, and then we'll come back and revisit and see how you're doing. Okay?
Thank you.
Sure. Okay. So I just want to show off. Look how beautiful that looks. And this is a tanzanite. Tanzanites are a little brittle, so we didn't do any of that little hammering technique. We just kind of pressed it nice and smooth. The only thing left to do at this point is we'll take a Swifty wheel, you know, in the bezel polishing kit, and just do the top edge a tiny bit. But like, look how gorgeous that looks. Okay. This is your day, Marianne.
Woohoo!
3 years.
Time. I have goosebumps now.
Yeah. But always remember though, like I have plenty of projects that literally go on for years, because I kind of like get to a stage and I'm like, oh, I don't know what I want that to look like, or like
Right.
I have multiple things going. But remember, it'll always be done a lot longer than it took to make,
Right.
no matter how long it takes to make.
Right. And that was going to be.
So that's
the
what I
way.
do, is I always think like, no matter what, it'll be done a lot longer than it took to make it.
Do you remember that was going to be a ring?
Yeah.
First.
I change my mind all the time,
Yeah.
you know? But I mean, just look how beautiful that is. It's absolutely stunning. And I'm going to show this off to everybody in here, because that is some gorgeous stuff. See, and everyone looking at that will admire it and not understand all the pain and suffering that went into it. Okay, I'm going to hand it around then.